2 months ago, this guy was just a professional footballer with zero sales experience. Today, he's closing B2B deals and bringing in 10K a month. In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how I got him to this position in just 60 days. And at the end, I'll show you why it can work for you as well. Now, before I get into that, I'm sure you're wondering, who is this curly haired kid on my screen? He's just another sales guru. Let me explain. I've been a footballer my whole life. This is my old child room. As you can see, posters on the back. I was even in an article. I even had a documentary about me. I was convinced I was going to be a professional footballer and no one could have told me otherwise. Until a couple injuries 2 years ago. People always told me, have a plan B, have a backup. Did not want to believe it because I was convinced I would be a professional. Turns out they were right. I used to see so many videos talking about do this, try this, I'm successful at a young age, XYZ, XYZ, to a point where I said, fuck it. If they can, so can I. Ever since that moment where I said, fuck it, I'm gonna do it, I have not looked back since. The last year has been life-changing to say the least. Going through so many ups and downs, learning so much along the way, hitting my first 10K a month, hitting my first 20K a month, all of this happening purely because one day I made a decision to go all in on myself. And that same decision is what my client Armani made 2 months ago. When you look back 2 months ago to now, what's been the most noticeable difference in your day-to-day, in your life?
I'm a completely different person than 2 months ago.
So I'm here with Armani. Armani, say hi.
What's going on, Connor? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing amazing.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So give them a rundown of your last 2 months.
Yeah, so it's been honestly a crazy 2 months. Obviously we knew each other before from Canberra, but then we reconnected because I saw you, doing this online stuff. And honestly, at the start, I thought it was like, a bit of a scam, or I was super, skeptical about it. But then we had a little chat. You showed me like proof. You showed me the way, and we've been working for like the last 2 months.
Your first goal 2 months ago was 5K in your first month. Explain to me how that felt hitting it in your first 2 months. It's not even June.
In terms of my goals and when I first, started, obviously like the first week too, like I was like, oh, if I can make it, an extra K or two from this, I was like, be awesome. But then, you obviously we planned our goals. I did have 5K by June as one of my goals, and basically in the first month I hit 6K USD.
There you go. How did that feel for you, hitting that?
It was crazy because like I already had the expectation of, I'm just going to be awesome just to make, an extra K or two, online, even $500, like just be awesome. But that mindset shift and actually doing it, and obviously a lot of athletes, they already have a good mindset. So if they can just focus that on what they need to do, like outside of football and whatever sport they play, like they're the ultimate. This is like the ultimate lane for them. And it makes me want more. I want to start hitting 15, 20K, fully like.
And what is one message that you would give to anyone listening to this?
Oh yeah, and it doesn't look real. Like you see the testimonials, you see people online not making money, and you're like, oh, it could be a scam. I was that person. I thought like making money online sounds crazy, but what I'd say, if you have the right people that actually care, if you have the right guidance, if you really choose the right person, then it's possible. And if you dedicate the hours, if you're obsessed, if you actually give it the time it deserves, and there's no way it won't work. And I'd recommend anyone to, work with you too and get coached by you, because not even saying that, because you've already been through the process. You've spent tens of thousands on actual mentorship. So you want to be trained by someone that's been through that whole process and can help you learn from the mistakes you've already probably made.
Now, why can an athlete, in this case a footballer, do so well in sales? Let me explain. Now, you've probably heard it before, athletes do well in sales, and it's mainly because of the discipline that they've built, the hard work, and being relentless. Well, the truth is, they're part of it, yes, and they help get you to where you want to be in life and in sales. The main reasons are these two: the pressure and responsibility. Now, what do I actually mean by that? As an athlete, pressure is real. You're in an industry, in a field where 0.1% actually make it. As well as that, you're playing pressured games, Games where you have to win, you have to perform, means you know how to deal with uncomfortable moments. You are okay in the discomfort. One key element towards sales. The second thing is responsibility. It is no one else's job but yours to go to training, go to the gym, do the extra reps, eat well. I'm not gonna do it for you. Your mum isn't, you are. Meaning that you are able to take on that responsibility and actually go after your goals and your dreams. And because of those reasons, as well as the discipline, the relentless mindset that you've built, you as an athlete are able to smash it in this field. Why not take advantage of it? Once I realized the mindset that I had actually built over a year ago and I got into sales, that's when my life completely changed. The same thing happened for my client Armani. Sales is not just about learning the skill and becoming good. If you want to stand out in this space and make a lot of money, you have to be different. And that difference comes from who you are as a person and what you've already established and built in your previous years of living. Most coaches don't know how to bring that out of you and actually help you maximize your potential. Difference is, I've done it for myself, Armani, and many other people. Now, how did we actually get these results in 60 days? Let me show you. Now, the secret to me being able to achieve these results for Armani in the first 60 days is right in front of you with this framework I call SPIF. Now, I made this off of the similar version called spin selling. Spin selling was created by Neil Rackman, who studied 35,000 sales calls across multiple different countries and ended up producing one of the biggest sales books in history. Now, his main focus was, what is the difference between top performers and what are they doing differently? And after those results, he was able to create the formula or the framework called spin selling: situation, problem, implication, and need for payoff. Now, what spin proved was that the best closers didn't just pitch harder. They asked better questions, made the prospect feel the problem, and then that allowed the solution to have effect. Now, the difference between spin selling and spiff selling is spin is missing key psychological breakdowns and understanding of the prospect that we're speaking to. And this is where spiff comes into play: frame stacking and future pacing. The prospect isn't going to just agree to the problem. Their identity is going to shift before we even have to pitch anything. How we break it down, right, is what most people teach is building rapport, finding their pain point, present the offer, handle objections, and close, most likely with pressure. The truth, and that's not really how you sell, is uncovering the real situation, actually understanding and confirming the problem, digging into why they're still there, finding their limiting beliefs, finding their patterns in the way they've made decisions, breaking that down, and painting a future so that they sell themselves. Now, we do this through five main things: situation, problem, implication, frame stacking, future pacing. Situation is where we create the gap. Now, if there's no gap, there is no sale. What that looks like is creating the North Star. So what that prospect actually wants to accomplish: more money, more freedom. What does that look like? Oh, I want to do it for my family. Building out the whole picture of what their future life looks like. And then on the other side of things, building out what they're currently doing. What does their life look like at the moment? Their work, maybe it's for fitness, their fitness plans, their routine, where they're at the moment with weight, etc., etc. That is creating the gap between where they are now and seeing the future of what they want. And even that in itself, creating the gap, is a level of sale. And once we've established that, we now need to isolate and surface an actual problem. Now, if you think about it, if the prospect is on the call for a fitness program, their problem most likely lies within the fact that they're not happy with how their weight is or their fitness is at the moment. That is the problem that they're facing currently. So we want to surface that. Same if we're doing trading, e-com, anything that makes, an offer that makes you more money. Their problem lies within the fact they're probably not making enough. So we want to do two things. One is allow them to agree to a problem. Not say near a cent, but what are you currently bringing in per month? $3K a month. Are you happy with that? Realistically, he's going to say no. Great. We've got a problem that we can both agree on and he's agreed to openly. The second part to that is showing how that problem impacts them day to day. It's kind of like how I put it into perspective is, if I have a problem, let's say I can't solve the Rubik's Cube, so I've got a problem, that doesn't influence my life and impact my life day to day to a point where I'm going to drop everything and fix it or solve it. Therefore, I have no internal urgency to solve that problem. But for example, if he's not making enough money and we show the impact, he's not able to support his family, himself properly, not able to go after his goals, his dreams, etc., etc., that when we break that down, that brings out his internal urgency, and he feels that as well, which is going to allow us to get him into the buying pocket where we can pitch and sell. Now, once that's happened, we want to go through implication. So have you done anything to improve this situation? What do you feel has been missing? How long has it been like this for you? All of these things are going to allow us to figure out those limiting beliefs, those patterns, anything that's held him or kept him in his current position that he may not be aware of. Okay. Now, this is where it gets interesting and very, very good. Nobody else teaches you this in sales. Most frameworks that you'll follow, that you'll learn, go from pain to pitch. So let's build a bit of the gap. Let's build a bit of pain. Let's ask him, what are your limiting beliefs? He's going to not know. And then we're going to pitch. That is not how you sell, and you're not going to get the outcomes or the results in sales that you want. Now, let's break down frame stacking and what it actually is. Now, frame is a perspective. Frame stacking is us stacking or layering different perspectives so that prospect or the person we're speaking to is looking at a certain situation exactly how we want them to. Now, common ones that we use, you can use as, something that's like curiosity frame, authority frame, a growth reflection, identity, accountability. There's multiple ones you can use. Now, if I put this in sequence real quick, it's really interesting. Gets the prospect's attention. They're interested. Working with, X amount of people for so long, I've seen so many people go from feeling stuck to actually achieving something exceptional, hitting their goals they thought they were out of reach. Puts us above. We have authority. We've done this before multiple times. Are you familiar with someone called Tony Robbins? He has a saying. He says that all of our external results that we experience are a direct reflection of who we are internally. Now, the point of that quote is to get them to realize that our internal is reflecting our external. So if we're not where we want to be in life, it's because of this in here. We want them to agree and understand that. Once we've done that, it's like, from your perspective, where does the real growth come from? Inside or outside of your comfort zone? We've done two things. One is got him to think internally, right? Rather than external, we want him to think internally. That's where Tony Robbins comes into play here. Then we get him to agree to change happening outside of his comfort zone. We can now use these things that he's agreed to contradict him later in the call, which is great. But either way, he's going to agree that outside of our comfort zone, we grow. And we're going to ask him, in terms of accountability, in terms of admitting to limiting beliefs, when someone is on the verge of stepping out of their comfort zone, going all in, what emotion do you think may stop them? Realistically, he's going to say fear, which is great, because now we can use that fear that he's just admitted to and showcase over the last 2-3 years that he's probably felt the same level of fear in the same way most other people do. And then we can go through the next important part, which is future pacing. Now, I'm sure you're aware of future pacing. You've probably heard it before. It's nothing crazy. But the two combined work very, very effectively. We've stacked the frames, stacked the perspectives. They see it. They understand. Think internally. Growth happens outside of your comfort zone. Fear is there. Great. Responsibility for that. Taking responsibility for that. Now we can actually get him to commit and see that his previous 2, 3, 4 years, what's kept him there is not looking at things in that perspective, that frame that we've just stacked onto him. So we future pace that and say, can you see how over the last 2, 3 years, you holding on to that fear and staying in your comfort zone is the big reason as to why you've actually stayed where you are? Because what if you did get out of your comfort zone? You did overcome that fear. Where might you be 2, 3, 4 months later after doing that? Future pace him, take that down that path so he can actually visualize it and see it, right? Now, once that's established, then we can get him to agree to, commitment, identity, and then we can pitch him. But because we've done that, he has that internal urgency. His frame and his lens of how he's looking at these things has changed. And because of that now, we can actually get him in the buying pocket and pitch. Perfect. Now, this framework obviously can go much more in depth. When I coach it, I teach it, and we go through a lot of role plays. This is obviously very brief understanding of it. People don't buy coaching, they buy a new and a better version of themselves. That's what you have to understand. These people are not on the call to buy the coaching specifically. They want to buy into a better and newer version of themselves. This is how Armani got placed and made 10K a month in his first 60 days working with me. It's the same framework that I've taught all my other clients that are also getting results within their first month. The biggest benefit to this is you are learning sales on a psychological level much quicker than learning any other framework and any other way of teaching and selling. Now that is a brief overview of the exact framework I'm teaching my clients that's allowing, for example, Armani to get into a position closing B2B deals in just 60 days. If you want access to that framework as well as heaps of free training, heaps of free value, I have a Discord link in the description. It is free. Feel free to join. I will send you a message on the inside. Now, I want to leave you with one last thing, a question to ask yourself. When are you going to go after your own goals instead of watching everyone else go after theirs?